Hello and welcome to another room tour, and this is going to be like the 10,000th attempt of me trying to film this over the days. Different cameras, different all setups, but yeah, this will probably be the third or fourth room tour I've done, at least on this channel. And if you can hear the ice cream man going by in the background, that's just an added bonus. So when you walk in, you're greeted by the wonderful Mac SE on this little tower here with the Evercade, which I did a video about. Just set my lightsabers there. That's going to be a little more of a Star Wars themed setup once I get some of them out of the boxes that I have. When you walk in here, you have my music setup. Basically, I got my record player there, which, yes, it's a Crosley, and yes, I did a video about that explaining how I've made it better. Part of it is this JVC sound system, which is right there next to it. Above that, we have my Minidisc Player, which may or may not work. To be honest with you, I don't know. These discs are the only discs I have. It comes up saying that there's something on them, but no sound comes out. So not too sure about that. This here in the bubble wrap and the stuff on top is going to be what goes into my arcade cabinet once I'm finished with it. This part's done, the computer side of it. I just got to finish the wooden shell. We have my Psvr Headset up here. I just thought it's a good place for it to go. Those two are actually won in a claw machine years ago, and I don't win in those very often, so I kind of kept them out and displayed. Going down, we have my Kiss Pez dispensers, and behind that is the box set. I'm just going to shake the camera a bit here. Doing this, the John Lennon Box Set of all of his CDs. Yeah, empty cassette tape because the cassette is in here. And going down, this is where I keep all the CDs in here, and this is everything else, which includes, if I can get it open, the 45s, the reel-to-reels, the extra cassettes, and then back there, if we can move this, you might be able to see the 8-tracks. And the player for the 8-tracks is down here, as well as most of my cassettes in that box. There's the reel-to-reel, needs a little work. I've been trying to invent a belt for it for a very long time. Going up, we got now into the games portion. We have my GameCube, as well as my NES, SNES, N64 with their matching wire boxes. I do have wire boxes for just about every system. Sometimes they're grouped together, depending if there's not a lot for said system. Yeah, we go back up here. We have some of my, like child systems, like the VTEX, the V-Smiles, and the Wii Wii's, and all that stuff. Up here, if I don't hit the ceiling, we have an Atari, well, a Sears Video Arcade 2 Atari 2600 model. Supposedly is the hardest one to find. I really don't know how true that is. Here we have all my handheld stuff. We have my boxed Lynx games, a boxed Game Boy Advance SP with the backlit, and then all my loose cartridges for Game Boy, Game Gear, Game Boy Advance, so on and so forth. We have the PSP and the PS Vitas down there, and my stack of old cell phones and iPods and things from over the years. A couple of flip cameras, which are pretty useless these days. They were useless to start with because the battery life was awful. We have my Sega Saturn and ColecoVision down here. We have my Tower of Power, the Genesis and 32X and CD combination. A couple of Dreamcasts. The back one needs a laser adjustment, and then it should be up and running. Going down some more, we have the Atari 2600, the 4-switch edition. Behind that is Super Pong. We have my Atari Lynx in the case with most of the games. We have my Master System there. Going behind this guitar here is the Atari 7800, as well as the original Xbox and some of those V-readers and whatnots. They go along with the stuff on the top. Maybe we can take a look at these guitars here. We do have the Hofner B bass, as was basically Paul McCartney's, and it's the budget model, I guess you could say. It's still, $500, but, budget. We'll go with that. My Epiphone Dot. This was actually my first good guitar. Not my first guitar, but the first good one that I've ever owned. Going behind that, we have my records, and you can see a Walls and Bridges right there, as well as a Frank Sinatra one up there. And then we got the PC games. A lot of these, this one is the only one I did like a double layer, only because there's so many. And usually once you install them, you don't always need the disc again, so I didn't think it would matter so much. We have all of the V-Reader games here, as well as the one for the Wii and the V-Smiles and all that kind of stuff. Next to that is the Odyssey 2, boxed only because, to be honest with you, I have never found one loose. Every time I go to buy one, they're always in the box, and they're always the same price, $10. Every single one, $10. That just seems to be the going rate, and I'm fine with that. We have the Intellivision stuff up here. We have ColecoVision, Atari 7800, and 5200 games. Then we have the many more 2600 games up here. And then next to that we have the VIC-20 carts, which are these long ones. And next to that is the Commodore 64 carts and the Atari 8-bit computer carts. If you're wondering where all those systems are, when we go up on the very top, we have the Odyssey 1, which I try to keep as far away from the window as possible for, sun fading and all that. Odyssey 2, we have the 5200, the Intellivision, a CDI from Magnavox, my Atari 135XE computer, I believe, 130XE, my VIC-20, and my Commodore 64. All over across the top. I thought, there's not that much room between the top of this and the ceiling, so I wouldn't want to stack games there, but hey, the systems fit pretty well. Alright, going this way we have the Ps3 Shelf, which is absolutely packed out, and the 360 Shelf, which originally had them double stacked like the PC Shelf, but then it kind of bled over into here. And going down some more, we have the original Xbox, and some PS2, and let me move this chair out of the way. We then have, if I can get down here without falling on the face, we have the Selectivision video disc, CED, whatever you want to call it, for the bottom half of this. Still don't have a player for that, but I have plenty of discs when I get one. And then above that is the laser disc that I have. Not a bunch, but it works great, and I love that old stuff. Then we get into some of my books here that I have. Here's actually a couple of audio books. That is a very good old, now Legends, Star Wars story. And some of these books right here, on this end of things, are actually over 100 years old. Some of them approaching 150 years old from the 1800s. We'll go on from there. Here's the rest of the books. We have the N64 stuff, which one of them back there has an N label. I want to get the full set so I can put them on all of them now. We have some games here that actually work for DVD players, which doesn't really matter what kind. There is a third one there in the middle. It's a Nick Jr.'s seen it. We have a VCR game, which is basically just you watch a scene and you answer some trivia questions. I don't know a whole heck of a lot about the Honeymooners. It's not one that I've watched. I've seen maybe an episode, but not very many, so we'll see how that goes. And then we get into the Super Nintendo shelf. And before you ask, no, these are not real. I did a video about this before. This one's in Portuguese, unfortunately. This one came from AliExpress. This one came from Etsy. It looks a little more realistic, and it's in English. So I just keep it just so I can compare the two. But yeah, I paid about $10 for each one. And then, of course, the Super Game Boy and Game Genie for Super Nintendo back there. Alright, let's see if I can stand back up without falling over. There we go, we saw those. And then we have the big box computer. I'm going to just say computer because there's PC, there's Mac, there's Commodore, there's some DOS stuff up here. And then we got the two Hyperscan things that I have, but I don't have a Hyperscan. I found these at a thrift store very cheap, and they were in pretty good shape. Now, the thing is, this is just cards that you scan. This has the game in it with the CD. I don't know if I'll ever find a Hyperscan. They had extra controllers, they had games, they had cards, but they didn't have a system. Go figure. Alright, going over here we have the Sega Shelf, which has the Genesis, the 32X, Master System, and CD stuff. If you can't tell, these are the only two genuine Sega CD games I have. This one just came with the system. This one, I always said, there's certain games that I have to have real. Sonic CD was one of them. I did print me out a front cover because I didn't have one. But everything back here, if I can move this out of the way, those are ones that I made. So I burned the CD. I created a label for, and even some of them I had to Photoshop them. Some of them I couldn't find a cover, so I Photoshopped my own cover. Out of all of those, these are the games that would have normally cost hundreds of dollars, and I can tell you I would have regretted owning most of them, save for Popful Mail. That's the only one I thought was actually worth any sort of money. But yeah, then we go down to the NES library down here, and my 90s Tekken anime. It's one I seen years ago, and I just happened to find it at a GameStop, not a GameStop, a game store for $1. And I can't pass that up. We have a Boo that I made out of perler beads years ago with the intention that I would make all kinds of figures. I made one, and that was the end of that. Let's go on. We have the Wii U Shelf, as well as the Wii U controller, and we're about to get blocked out by a guitar again, so let's go down here. We have most of my Wii games. The spillover goes into this shelf here, and on this shelf also has the GameCube stuff. We have the CDI stuff. We have Sega Saturn stuff, and PS1 and Dreamcast down there. At the very bottom of this shelf, we have most of the newer handhelds: DS, 3DS, Vita, PSP, and inside that silver box, there's all my loose PSP stuff. We have my most popular video ever. It's about this Jasmine acoustic guitar. It's the only video I have that has passed 11,000 views. All about this guitar. Go figure. Who would have ever guessed that was where it would go? So here's my main setup, and here's the thing I've noticed that, this is the smallest game room I've ever had, but yet it has the most stuff in it. And the reason for that is instead of having a computer desk, and this is a good tip for anybody, instead of having a desk, get yourself a TV tray, right there with my Yoda coffee mug, and just get wireless keyboard and mouse, and, do something like this. I have my Mac Mini there, which I use for most of my video production and music production, going into a 32-inch LG TV, just with HDMI, and I could have this here, I could have it if I'm over here by the keyboard, and, anywhere in the room, because they're wireless, saves you on so much space when you just integrate your computer setup into the shelving. And now that we've talked about that, we can move on from it and see what is else on the shelving, including my newest systems. So I left these wires out for a reason. This is what's actually in these containers. Now I have run out of containers, so these are sitting on the floor for now until I get a couple more. And we have my Halo 5 Xbox One, and it's hard to see it from here. This is my Darth Vader Ps4 on its side. I'm actually playing Watch Dogs on it right now. I just brought it back to be videoed. And, they're launch models. They're not the pros, they're not the slims. It works for me. We have my Xbox One games and my Switch games, and the Switch, which is right there in between. You have my PS4 shelf, which has quite a bit more than these. It seems to be my go-to for all third-party stuff at the moment. Down here we have my stack of PS1s, my 2 PS2s, my Wii, back there is a Wii U, PS3, and my 360s. Now there's a fourth 360 I have that I'm going to be modifying, and that'll be shown in the future. We have my Korg synthesizer. I'll do a review on that too. It's okay. As you can see, the key got a little messed up. We have my MIDI keyboard and my sound mixer. My tiny 13-inch? I think it is CRT for any games that won't play on here. If I have to use it, then I've got it. You have a Logitech sound system, which actually the subwoofer should be, if I remember. Yeah, it ended up back there, behind the TV, which works out fine for me. On this end of town, we have a 2008 Imac. This is the 24-inch model. It's pretty impressive even today, I have to say. Still works good. It's a dual core, but it's a 3 gigahertz dual core, so it kind of makes up for it. We have an 06 iMac up there, and behind said iMac, we have all my PCs, my modern gaming PC, an XP gaming PC, more or less, and my 98
gaming PC, more or less. I say that because they were technically gaming PCs, they just got modified. We have a Toshiba laptop from around 2000 running Windows ME, my green screen, which I'm going to start implementing more. We have a iMac G3 back there, as well as a Power Mac Desktop G3 right there that's been modified. My Virtual Boy in the box, my Commodore accessories, including tape drive and disk drives. Down here we have, I get past the Mac, we have my Laserdisc player, which is the one on the end here, and a VCR, which I do use occasionally to get things into this TV a little easier, because it does not have AV inputs. And then there's just random supplies, art supplies back there. At the bottom is board games. Quite a few board games. Luckily they all fit. And then going this way we have my Roland D50 Keyboard. This thing is now going on 14, 15 years old. Still works great though. And then deep in the recesses of this closet are all my other guitars and instruments and things. There's an old Paul McCartney t-shirt from a tour from 89, 90, so it's a 30-year-old t-shirt. All my game boxes are up there. Actually, that one right there, that Atari box actually has the computer in it. But I have no reason to have that out too. And I've got the other one out. So let me get a good wide angle of this. This is where we'll end it. This is a 1919 Starlet phonograph player, which inside of it actually is some 78 RPM phonographs, as you can see right there, and a little pill bottle full of needles that go to this. Let's take a look inside the cover. That's it. It works. The reproducer, the little sound disc on here buzzes a bit because the gaskets wore out after 100 years. Go figure. So yeah, that is the newest game room that I have going on for me. It's once again a game room, music studio, video production, what have you. And hope you enjoyed another one of those, and I will see you in the next one.